Welcome back to the RV Queens podcast, where we discuss making money and living life on the road. It's Kate White, your host, and today I'm coming at you on a chilly winter day from a super cozy spot in my RV. I'm coming at you with a solo episode, and we're diving into something we all struggle with: failure, or at least the feeling of it. Whether it's falling behind at work, hitting a rough patch financially, or just feeling like life is throwing way too much at you all at once, I've been there. In fact, this past week has been a masterclass in dealing with setbacks. Between sickness, unexpected expenses, and completely derailed routines, I found myself stuck in that all too familiar mental loop of I'm failing. But here's the thing, I had a breakthrough. And today I'm sharing 4 powerful mindset shifts that helped me reframe those thoughts, shift out of survival mode, and actually see the bigger picture. So if you've ever found yourself wrestling with self-doubt, feeling like you're dropping the ball, or questioning your worth when life slows you down, this episode is for you. All right, my friend, grab your coffee or hot tea and let's roll. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the RV Queens podcast. This is Kate White, your host, coming at you from the comfort and coziness of my bed. I'm surrounded by pillows, and I've got some hot tea. You can probably hear in my voice that I'm a little sick. I've actually been sick for about 6 days in a row, and you guys, it completely wiped me out this week for almost a whole week. More on that in a minute, but I want to let you know that I've been releasing these solo episodes this year, here and there, for a couple of reasons. One is to bring you some mindset hacks that I hope you can use, and also what I hope is inspiration to give you a little mental boost. Because as we all know, travel life and entrepreneurship is not easy. It is not for the faint of heart. And if I can be here to give you a little high five, butt slap, whatever you want to refer to it as, I would love to be able to do that. And the second reason I'm recording these solo episodes is actually as an exercise in personal growth. It's actually way more stretching for me personally to record solo episodes that I think bring value to you listeners than it is to record interviews. And if you stay with me today, I've got some good nuggets to share that I think will help you reframe thoughts of failure and low self-worth when they come up. So bear with my sick voice, if you will, and here we go. Okay, guys, so as I mentioned, this week has been just full of sickness. I'm not kidding. My husband got it first, and my son Teddy, and then as it goes, a few days later, I got it on Monday. I went to the doctor. They did the swab. Dude, this virus does not show up as anything. It's not strep. It's not COVID. It's not, what else would it be? The flu? Nothing. So here we are. All I've been doing is lots of sleep. I don't get sick very often, but when I do, I'm used to, the kind where you rest for a day or two and then I bounce back pretty quickly. But this has taken me out. I am just feeling my energy returning on, what is this, day 6 or 7 or something? It's crazy. On top of this sickness, we've had the in-laws visiting us, whom I love, but they were also sick. So unfortunately for them, they had a 10-day Florida vacation. They're from Nebraska, so back home it was freezing temperatures and snowing. And they came down all the way to Florida to be sick with me and my family. And we just had a big old coughing, sleeping party. It's been crazy. So on top of this, the week prior to all of this sickness was one of those weeks when you just kind of feel like you're hemorrhaging money every day, and your usual schedule, just normal routines or normal schedules, got completely thrown off. Our truck needed new batteries and new tires. We had to switch insurance and pay that bill. Our Thousand Trails annual payment came up. It was just one of those weeks that it's when it rains, it pours. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It was crazy. So we had first a week of like bleeding money, and then we had a week of sickness. And the weirdest part to me about being sick is like the mind games that go on in your head. You know, like when you hit the point that your body can't move from fatigue, but you also like can't sleep anymore. Like your brain is just moving forward, but your body just has to lay still. And it surprised me for the first couple days that I kept having this phrase run around my head that I'm failing. Like all I could think of was all of these little things that I was failing at because I was sick. You know, like, do you ever just observe your thoughts and kind of wonder at them? Things that I was thinking I failed at. Okay, so a lot of it was like podcast and business related. You know, we had this online Galentine's event and I meant to record it so I could release part of the audio for an episode. I totally failed at recording that. Yep, failed at that. Because I was sick, I had to cancel a podcast interview. That felt like me failing. I had to cancel a phone call with a potential partner that I'd been trying to get on the phone with for weeks and weeks. Lauren, if you happen to be listening, I'm so sorry. You know who you are, but we will catch up soon. All of these emails I had to return, I felt like I was failing at. Clients and partners to respond to, communication with my team, the normal weekly task. I'm not kidding. My mind was like going around and round about all these things that I felt like I was failing at. And like, what is that? Like, why would my mind automatically go to my days of needing rest to heal from a sickness as failing? Are you kidding me? Like, what is going on in the programming of my brain? That this is how I'm conditioned, is to just consider that I'm like failing when I'm sick. Okay, I've been mulling over this a lot in the past few days, and I have an interesting conclusion to share with you, which is why I'm recording a podcast episode for you with my sick voice. I think this is going to speak to at least one of you high achieving women out there who are listening. The reason I feel like I failed at life this week is because I wasn't productive, like at all. I was literally doing nothing. I couldn't even do like domestic, helping with breakfast, helping with dishes. All I could do was like feel like I survived the day, you know, like I was still alive at the end of the day, and that's all I could do. Deep down, here's what I realize is that I view rest, even when it is a freaking necessity to survive, as a lesser use of my time. I think this is extra weird that this is still part of my psyche because we started RV life to travel and slow down the pace of our family life. Like, I wanted more rest. I've invited more rest and slowness into my life over the past couple of years, and it's been awesome. But there's still something in my mind that tells me that my value, like even my worth as a human, is tied to what I do, to how productive I can be in a day, and to what I can create for others. It's like I'm not good enough as a human unless I'm doing something for other people. This has come up this week and it surprised me because I thought I had let all of this type of what I consider psychosis. I thought I let this go when I stopped working as an employee, you know? What I found about myself this week is that I've returned to my old ways of being, in a way, addicted to productivity. Like, a big part of my self-worth is tied to what I create. Some of this, you know, I think is innate as a human being. We are all little mini creators who crave a sense of purpose in our work. You know, as moms, there's something that happens in you when you have kids. It's like you have to take care of people. It just becomes innate. So, you know, some of that is like just being a human, I think. But there's something that I feel like is also going on in my mind. And I know this can happen to all of us high achieving women that have big dreams. We're trying to do a lot in our travel life as we're making money and have all these endeavors that we're like chasing after.
So you're probably planning out your travels for the rest of the year, and if you're heading out west, I hope that Bryce Canyon is on your must-see list. It's one of our family's favorite national parks. I recommend staying at Bryce Canyon RV Resort, which is a short drive from the park entrance, has incredible views, full hookups, and all the family-friendly amenities you're looking for. Bryce Canyon RV Resort is an Our Journey campground, so you know it's going to be clean and safe. Click the link in the show notes to book now and start your journey with Our Journey.
Having the words "I'm failing" floating around in my head in this week when I'm literally just sick and needing rest seems like I've gotten a bit off in this area. This was kind of a red flag to me. And it's kind of funny. I posted a podcast a couple weeks ago about this alternative I have to setting yearly goals. And I mentioned the concept of being codependent on the goals we want to achieve. And here I am this week being codependent on productivity to feel a positive self-worth. So still a work in progress over here, people. Okay, anyways, back to the point. Now, instead of letting myself sit in this weird mind stew of feeling like my life is going to pot while I was sick, I did a couple things that helped. And here's the part I want you to pay special attention to and even return to when you're having similar thoughts of low self-worth, when you're feeling like you're failing at something that you're doing, or failing at being someone that you want to be. Let me share with you what helped me this week get through this. All right. Number one, I widened my aperture, as the artists say. That means I zoomed out in my mind on the situation. So instead of looking at this week in particular and everything I felt like I had failed at and I was missing out on, I just took a step back. Like next month or even next week, will this week of rest be a complete detriment to my life and business? No, obviously not. Will the canceled meetings and the delayed podcast and the late email responses and everything that I feel like I had to delay and push off be the end of me? No, it's just going to be a blip. I'm just going to apologize to everyone for being late because I was sick. And guess what? Everyone's going to be understanding and it's going to be fine. The other thing, second thing that I did this week to help me shake off the feeling of failure is I made an important distinction in my mind of using "I failed" instead of "I'm a failure." You'll notice even most of the way through this episode, I haven't said I felt like a failure. I've been saying I failed at things, at tasks. That's because I'm still forcing myself to keep the delineation between failing at tasks I perform and me as a human being. You know, just because you fail at a performance doesn't make you a failure of a person. And I, this week, didn't even let my mind go there because I knew that was a dark hole that I did not want to go down. The third thing that I did this week to keep my mind out of the failing storm is I kept asking myself, what is the lesson here? Between the previous week of, the hemorrhaging money week and then this really hard week of being sick and having to host on top of it, I just kept thinking, what is the friggin' lesson that I need to be learning? I'm sure there's something that, divine intelligence, God, the universe, what have you, is trying to teach me. And maybe even us, me and my husband, we talked about this. What are we supposed to be learning in these hard couple of weeks? I still am not totally sure what it is, but I know that if I don't stay open to learning and understanding, then this lesson is just going to keep coming around until I get it. Maybe the lesson is that my identity is still a bit too intermingled with being a productivity machine because I grew up in America and it's just kind of in me. Or maybe I need to learn to stop being a martyr and to stop abandoning my personal well-being for the sake of others. That's something that I've kind of struggled with a lot over the years. Still working on that one, but my mind is definitely going in that direction. And lastly, the fourth mindset hack that I kind of used this week to get out of this failing storm is that I remembered the past. This week has felt extremely challenging in many ways. And I let myself remember weeks in the past that have felt just as challenging. And here's the crazy thing, you guys. Drew and I have observed over and over in our 13 years of marriage that when we go through these times, like, that feel like storms, literal storms in life that are just like, what the heck is happening right now? Why is this all hitting us at once? It feels like an attack out of the blue. Everything's fine and normal. And then bam, when it rains, it pours. I know you know what I mean. Like, we all go through these periods. There's a blessing that comes on the other side of it. And we've observed this so many times. I'm not kidding. It sounds so cheesy, but it's seriously like a rainbow comes after the storm. Sometimes it's monetary, like a large amount of money will come out of the blue. Sometimes it's like an incredible connection, like, connecting with a certain person or a certain group or something like that will happen. Sometimes a deal goes through or good news comes in or I don't know, something. It's some kind of like really positive thing that happens after one of these life storms. It's happened to us over and over. And this week in the sickness storm, I kept telling myself to wait and see what blessing is going to come on the other side of this. Something good is coming. Hold on to that. That's what I keep telling myself. So, you guys, it's just now the end of February, and I'm already sharing some thoughts on failure with you. Great way to start the year, right? It might seem counterintuitive, but I want us all to be equipped mentally for the year ahead. The majority of this year is going to be full of beautiful successes and feeling good and operating out of a sense of ease and growth. But there are also going to be these weird life storms that pop up for you and for me again. And I want you to have these 4 mental hacks at the ready when you need them. So whenever you are having a failure storm in your life, whether it's in your mind or when real life hits you hard, do this. Number 1, zoom out and think of the bigger picture. This isn't forever, and this is just going to be a blip in your year. Number 2, make the mental distinction between failing at tasks versus failure as a person. Do not let your mind go there, tell you that you're a failure as a person. It's okay to fail at tasks. That doesn't mean it's connected to your identity as a human. Number 3, I want you to keep an eye out for the lesson you can learn from what you're going through. It's in there. There's always a golden nugget to learn in these things. And you guys, you don't learn it once. This lesson is just going to keep coming round and round until we learn it, right? And the 4th thing I want you to do is to look for the blessing that comes after the storm. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys for bearing with me and my scratchy, sick voice for this episode. I hope you feel like you have a few tools in your mental tool belt for helping reframe failure or the days when you feel like you're failing, and for dealing with those weeks that it feels like when it rains, it pours. We all go through it. They're temporary, but they're very challenging to get through. If you liked this episode, I'd love for you to leave me a comment or a review based on what platform you're listening on, or let me know on Instagram at RV Queens Podcast. And with that, my friend, I will see you next week, or hopefully I will see you on the road.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode and for being part of the RV Queens community. Remember to hit subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And guess what? You can have conversations like I had on this episode with your fellow RV women who are living intentionally and making money on the road. Head to rvqueenspodcast.com/community to join RV Queen Circles today. It's a totally unique online space with a shared prosperity model that's all about community over competition. I'd love to have you be a part. All right, guys, I'll see you next week, or hopefully I will see you on the road.
Something good is coming. Hold on to that. That's what I keep telling myself.